It's time for another episode of Raising Courageous Leaders by Mr. Bonke Shipalana. That's my dad.
Hi, my name is Bonke Shipalana and welcome to another exciting episode of The Power Within. Please keep those emails coming. You can send them to powerofone@bonke.co.za. Today I want to share a story that I experienced many years ago when I was at varsity doing my first year. I was a BCom graduate and my fellow friend was a BA student. He was majoring in music. One night he asked me to join him to go and listen to this famous professor speaking about the power of music. I was intrigued, so I did go and join him. Halfway through the lecture, the professor says something profound, something that got stuck in my heart at the end of the night. He quoted a famous French composer by the name of Claude Debussy. And the quote went something like this: music is the space between the notes. Music is the space between the notes. That quote stuck in my heart and I could not take it out. I had to go and research and find out what that meant. That evening, after going through quite a number of books, I summarized that the space between the notes allows them to resonate and reach their full measure of expression. Without this space, noise would result. It seems as if the space creates the music. Without the space, there will be a sound, a bar, to a certain extent, noise. One question I want to ask you today is, what's your space? What's your space? Let's be honest. If you have to cut this person called Bonke, lie the pieces from left to right, you'll call it Ibodi. But put the pieces together and let that thing be able to breathe, suddenly call it a human being. So it's the space inside, the ability to breathe, which makes it possible for someone to call me a human being. Take four walls, put them in one line. In African English, you call it stop nonsense. Take the same four walls, put them together, and because of the space in between, now we call it a room. So it seems like it's what's inside but yet invisible, which gives us the ability to describe or define it. It's what's inside yet invisible, which gives us the power and the ability to define or describe it. Again, I ask you, what's your space? What I'm really asking you is, what's your purpose? What's your reason for existence? What's your why of being on earth? Your space equals your purpose. It's your purpose inside, yes, invisible, which allows people to define or describe you. The late Dr. Miles Monroe described or defined purpose as follows: purpose is when you know and understand what you were born to accomplish. Purpose is when you know and understand what you were born to accomplish. Unfortunately, most of us are defined by our circumstances. Unfortunately, most of us are described by what we have gone through. Will you allow lockdown to define you 2 years from now? Will you allow lack of resources to define you? Will you allow the pain that you have gone through to describe who you are? If you know your space, if you understand your purpose, even when there's darkness, you have light within you. Even when you have no resources, you believe that things are going to turn out well at the end of the day. If you equate your space to your purpose, then you'll have a clear understanding of what Proverbs 19 verse 21 refers to when it says that many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. I want to encourage you to get to know your space. I want to encourage you to get to understand and know your purpose. Know the reason why you exist. Know your why, and let people describe you based on your why and not your circumstances. This was another exciting episode of The Power Within, where we raise courageous leaders.
Raising courageous leaders. Thank you, Dad. You better subscribe to the Power Within TV channel. Do it now.